Is it time to wildcard in FPL? Nearly 1 million managers have already hit that button, and today we're going to see a wildcard team I've put together. I am Gianni, and we are joined by regular co-hosts Matisse and Nick. Nick, first up.
Yes.
You're thinking about wildcarding, aren't you?
I am. I'm in trouble. I've had a bad start. I've gone heavy on Villa, and that's not really worked out because they've stunk up the place, and they look really real lack of creativity. Don't look like scoring, so I'm in trouble there. Salah's been okay. I haven't had Haaland. I've got Aina and Cash, Pedro Porro on my back line. There's problems everywhere right now. And I feel like I've been trying to hold out for something on the wild card, like waiting for a moment where it's going to be of more use. But and I have 2 free transfers, so I could still make something work, and I've still got Cole Palmer. Yeah. That's a big issue. Need to get rid of him. I could still make something work with 2 transfers, but I'm struggling a little bit. I am struggling. I don't know if I should wait out. I was saying before the show, I don't know if I should be waiting out until the festive period, because then you've got back-to-back games, and if you can set up a team right for that period, then maybe you can do something with that. But I'm in trouble, so I am thinking about it,
Nick, you're living the life of so many FPL managers. We can see it in your face, we can hear it in your voice, the if, buts, maybes, the I'm in, the are in. Well, me and Matisse, we're chilling, we're quite happy with our wild cards, aren't we, Matisse?
Yeah, I'm very happy right now with my team. The only issue is Cole Palmer, like you said, but I was kind of hearing through some reporters that the injury doesn't seem to be too bad, so he should actually be back, they said, after the international break, maybe on the bench against Brentford. If not, I think definitely back for Manchester United next weekend. Obviously, Bayern Munich in between that for Champions League. So apart from that, though, my team is pretty much all healthy. It's not the best team, I don't think, because Florian Wirtz obviously hasn't got off to a great start. Eze, we still haven't really seen properly in an Arsenal shirt. Beto doesn't really guarantee starts at Everton, so that's a bit of a risk with Barry around. But there's still enough players that are picking up points. You know, the back line this weekend is looking really strong now, with hopefully Lewis Hall starting it for Newcastle against Wolves at home. And I'm just happy with Ekitike and João Pedro's contributions to begin with. They're really firing. If Mbeumo can start firing as well, then Dewsbury Hall I've just transferred in for Cherki because of the injury. Right. I feel like I'm well set up right now.
Yeah, definitely are. And I guess the Cole Palmer flag is that. Are we worried with Cole Palmer with Champions League coming in? Yeah. Even if he's fit and available, you're like, is he ready to play 2 lots of 90 twice a week? We didn't see it last year because he was rested a lot for those Thursday night games.
Exactly.
Didn't we? I don't think he was in the group stages squad for Chelsea. So he's going to be needed in the Champions League. Does that mean we see some rotation in the Premier League for Cole Palmer?
I'm definitely keeping an eye on it, just purely because, like you said, it is a lot of games, and I feel like Chelsea are being quite cautious with him. But the signings that they made towards the back end of the window didn't tell me or lean towards Cole Palmer getting less games. You know, they didn't go and get the Xavi Simons deal over the line. They didn't get the Fermin Lopez deal over the line. Those type of players coming in would have told me, okay, Cole Palmer might get less minutes. With Buonate coming in from Brighton on a loan, doesn't really scream that he's going to play a lot. Even politically, I don't think he's going to play a lot, just purely because there's no obligation or option to buy. Loan players tend to get shafted in that instance, up and down the league. So he might come out the team, but I don't want to waste points on it. I'm really trying to behave myself this season, not just spend transfer points and, just dock myself. So,
I think the one thing about Cole Palmer is even when he has been fit, he hasn't been great. That's the worry as well. And obviously for 10.5, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and also, I mean, I said this to you before as well, none of the premium assets are even doing that well, really. Yeah. Erling Haaland got off to a really good start, but is slowed down since. And Man City haven't looked great. Salah's been okay, Saka's been okay and now injured. So the big hitters are not really been the ones.
Yeah, Saka's obviously out injured.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And now there's injuries at City to Mamouche and Cherki. Supply line for Haaland, I'm not really even sure how the chance creation is going to be over there. So that is a danger for some FPL players if you've got Haaland in your team. And I don't think their fixtures are easiest.
It's United this week, Manchester derby, but it's Arsenal. I'd say Haaland's toughest fixture in the entire campaign is going to the Emirates. Yeah. We know he rarely gets much change out of that Arsenal back 4.
Yeah. And then Burnley after that.
But then Burnley game week 6, I feel like we're all going to be in a position where we go, we absolutely need to own and captain Haaland in game week 6. But maybe it can wait till then. Yeah. And because of that, a load of managers will free hit in game week 6, a load of managers will wildcard in game week 6, and some will just go, I'm going to get to Haaland with free transfers by then. Myself, I'm planning Haaland in 6, but I think you're right, Matisse. We don't need him now.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think, I don't know what you guys' strategy is on how often would you spend deduct points for yourself on transfers. Do you think it's ever necessary? Unless I don't know, if you've got an injury-stricken team.
Well, all right. So literally before we started recording, I did say because I've got 2 free transfers. Like I said, I'm thinking about the wild card. I have thought about making 3 transfers and taking a -4.
Yeah.
But Gianni was telling me that essentially because there's so many chips this year, right?
Yeah.
That you should avoid it and can get away with it. Am I right?
Yeah, because we've got double chips, it just feels too good an opportunity to perhaps not need to make those -4s because we've got double chips. Also, we are given 5 free transfers. For those that don't know, 5 free transfers for AFCON. So when AFCON kicks in, you get given 5 free transfers.
That's brilliant.
And that was one of the new rules introduced by FPL this season.
Yeah.
If you've got 2 or 3 transfers in the bank, though, let's say you've got 3 transfers banked, AFCON comes in, they'll only give you 2. So we will tell you on this show when to use your transfers before AFCON. You need to make sure you've got no free transfers and you get a free 5. So that's a nice perk as well. But look, let's talk about Wildcard because so many are thinking about it. I checked this morning, 750,000 have used it. I expect that will tick over 1 million.
Yeah.
There's only 10 million managers in the game. Like, that's a lot of managers on Wildcard, and obviously, Nick, you're thinking about it. The big talking point for many, I'm going to show you a Wildcard team, but first and foremost, is it Salah? Is it Haaland? Is it neither? Is it both? This is the conversation we had pre-season. Because of that Burnley fixture in 6, and because Salah has Burnley this week, feels like you probably want to get both in place if you were on wildcard, right?
That's the tough thing. So I think going forward, I'm leaning more towards just having Haaland and not going for a Salah, especially because once Isak comes into the team, I think goals and assists can be divided a bit more within the team. But the problem is, like you just alluded to there, Burnley away, Everton at home. I feel like it's criminal to get rid of Salah before those 2 fixtures, isn't it? So I'm even thinking if there's a wild card where I can get both Salah and Haaland in, and then within 2 transfers get Salah and another midfielder both out for, say, if you had a budget, say a Dewsbury Hall and a Salah. Yeah. You get rid of Salah and Dewsbury Hall and you bring in, let's say, a Kudos and a Semenyo. Something like that.
More balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking at this thinking now, what does Isak do to Ekitike? I've got Ekitike in this week, but that's probably maybe the last game that Isak's not going to start. Yeah. And then where does Ekitike play? How does that affect his points? I'm very worried about that situation, and Wirtz as well. So
I think he had half an hour Isak over the 2 games of Sweden, didn't he? So we're thinking half an hour versus Burnley starts Champions League. Is that where we're at with Isak? Like,
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe a 30 minutes and then 60 minutes. Something like that.
You can't expect him to start versus Burnley, although I'm sure he'd want
but just purely because of the pre-season situation that he's had at Newcastle and the fact that he's not played any Premier League football, I'd assume that he's not starting against Burnley. And Ekitike is in form, so there isn't really any need to take Ekitike out of the team.
Yeah, if you're Arne Slot, there's no need to take risks. You just sign a £130 million player, don't injure him as soon as he comes in.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And Gakpo's the other risk there. He's quite highly on Gakpo. Like, if Isak comes into that 11, or when he comes into that 11, could Ekitike move to the left? Like, he's going to get some minutes on the left. Gakpo will probably still be first choice there, but there's going to be rotation at Liverpool. And again, all lines feed back to the guy we know plays 90 every week, Champions League, Premier League. Mo Salah is inevitable in that respect in minutes and usually in goals.
Yeah, well, that's also where it's frustrating a little bit because Florian Wirtz is pretty nailed, but he's not been producing. If he was producing...
Great free kick for Germany.
Yeah. But he's just not. He hasn't put anything up for Liverpool yet, has he? So that if he was, he'd be an easy go-to if you didn't have Salah. But he's not really been producing so far.
Yeah. All right. Well, look. Let's see the wild cards lineup that we've put together. Like I've put together a 15. This is a completely subjective, and I've gone for a Salah and Haaland draft. Now that obviously means that you're missing a couple of other big name players. You need a load of enablers, but I think you can get to a load of enablers because there's good budget midfielders this year. I've gone for 3 midfielders under 6 million. Reinders, Harvey Elliott, Dewsbury Hall. I also think this season you can play a back 4. Defensive contributions have changed the way we pick players in general, and I just think players like Senesi, he's had defensive contribution, extra 2 points in all 3 of his games so far. Van Dijk mops up in DEFCON, so does Lacroix. Like, these guys are just getting additional points. So with that in mind, the fact you can play 4-4-2, the fact there's budget midfielders you can pick, a lot of them, I think Haaland and Salah makes sense. What about Bruno, though? Because this sort of draft allows for 1 extra. You could go Ollie Watkins, you could go for a Palmer or Saka if fit. I feel like Bruno again, we said Salah's inevitable, but Nick, Bruno is too.
I know. I was surprised to see him in there.
I know.
But the thing is with Bruno, he's on penalties. He's on some set pieces. He can get you DEFCON points. He can get you assists.
Mate,
he can
so
get you on
good
goals.
at DEFCON.
Yeah.
Playing deeper means we don't like him in FPL because we go, our currency is goals and assists.
Yeah.
But if you're getting DEFCON and get an additional 2 points every week, well, that's almost an assist and it's worth picking him.
Exactly. I wonder if a Semenyo there could be a better option. And then Harvey Elliott's an interesting one, to be fair.
At Villa.
So cheap. But what do you think on Elliott? Because that's a proper punt. He's 0% owned. We don't know if he's going to come straight into the 11.
Exactly.
I feel like Villa need him, though. I feel like Villa have lacked a Harvey Elliott profile. They've been playing John McGinn right midfield. They obviously had Asensio and Rashford last year, players that played out wide. I feel like Harvey Elliott's been given some sort of assurances and he's not gone to Villa to sit on the bench.
No. You'd assume not. Obviously, Morgan Rogers is there. They lost Bailey and obviously the years of Diaby and all these guys. Yeah. So they've had a lot of influx and change in the attack. Marlon obviously is probably the permanent from January that I'm thinking of to play as a co-striker to Watkins. I have no idea what's going on at Villa. Yeah. I think they're such a difficult team to predict right now with the lack of movement in the market purely down to maybe, PSR. And then obviously this Elliott transfer was so late. He's a really talented player, but I don't know the setup right now for them. So I do see why people are going to wait with him just to see how he plays, where he plays, if he plays. Jazz, as Mourinho says. Yeah. Literally, it's true because Villa, they're still in Europe. So there's going to be a lot of games for them as well. I don't know if Emery's going to rotate a whole heap as well. We'll have to see.
I do agree though in terms of it feels like that wide creative player is what they've been, because I feel like everything for them has been so central. Like even like when Jacob Ramsey was there, he still wants to come inside as well. So someone who is a bit more comfortable out wide makes sense. They've also signed Jadon Sancho.
That's another one.
But that's one where you just ask me how's that going to go. I've got no clue. I couldn't tell you. I don't expect him to do anything extraordinary, if I'm being completely honest. But he might get a few numbers.
One thing we know from Sancho is he won't be ready straight away. No. Like he's not going to have trained that well pre-season. He's not going to be fit and ready. With someone like a Harvey Elliott, he's featured for Liverpool early. He's had a full pre-season. I just fancy his fitness and his attitude means he'll probably come in earlier. But let's watch this space. Watkins, by the way, we can see on the bottom of the screen, is up there in the most sold players of the game week. Dangerous though, Matisse. We don't know what's going on with Villa, but they do have Sunderland and Burnley in their next 4. Dangerous selling Watkins, right?
Yeah. Watkins is a weird one because I remember last season, I think it was, where he missed quite a lot of chances as well. And he's obviously getting into that age range where you actually don't know when the dip's going to come. Like, when is Watkins' numbers going to start stagnating or start dipping? He was obviously meant to get that big move to Arsenal. It never happened, never materialised. I just feel like Villa in general are just, they feel like they've stagnated with that window. So I don't really even know, like, what the mood is in the camp in terms of kicking on, and are they just going to just plateau? Is it going to take them a while to get up to speed this season? I'm not very impressed with Villa's. I know they've got a good team, but because they haven't been able to kick on in that window, and the transfers have all been really late. They're Harvey Elliott, Sancho, like you said. Again, the supply line to Watkins, it's really just Rodgers or bust, unless these guys are going to come in and immediately impact. But I wouldn't be surprised if it took these new signings a few weeks at least to get up to speed. In that new setup.
We attacked them because they're fixtures. Because they've easily had the best fixtures going into it, but they just haven't performed. Tottenham also have good fixtures. And a question for you actually I've got is, does Javi Simons joining Spurs make Pedro Porro a less attractive pick because he won't be on the same amount of set pieces that he once was? Because in play, he's got an attacking threat, but it's more free kicks and such.
Mate, I'm not convinced Pedro Porro is even going to be absolutely nailed moving forward. I know he's been good, and we know Frank likes him, but when he was faced up against Semenyo in game week 3, Pedro Porro was hooked because one-on-one defending, who's stronger? Udogie, Jed Spence or Porro. Well, Porro's ranked 3rd by a country mile, right? The other two one-on-one. So in tough games, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jed Spence play right back, his actual position, Udogie coming left back. Udogie's been injured first couple of weeks, which is why we didn't see him. But Semenyo gave Porro the runaround, and with European football and a bit of rotation, I own Porro and I'm happy for the next couple of weeks, but long term he might end up being a sell, and Xavi Simons is clearly going to be brilliant. Like he's the number 10 Spurs need. Were you disappointed to for Chelsea to miss out on him. I couldn't work out as a Chelsea fan if I wanted Xavi Simons. I know he's brilliant, but maybe just I knew if he came to Stamford Bridge, you're not going to get in that 11 easily. At Spurs, you're going to walk into it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he would have come to us over Spurs anyway because we did agree personal terms, but it would have been a risky move on all sides, definitely. It's definitely one of those players that you can see it going wrong as much as you can see it going right. I wanted him over Garnacho personally, just as an option to Palmer in that 10, because I feel like we're over relying on Palmer's fitness in there. But yeah, I'm interested to see how he does because he has been kind of going between the clubs, hasn't he? You know, he's PSG, he's done, you know, a stint in Holland, Germany. So he isn't João Felix because he works harder off the ball, but he has that kind of journeyman, kind of Felix, golden boy kind of vibe around him. So he does need to kind of settle and kick on. But yeah, with Spurs, Thomas Frank's a great manager. Yeah. So I think they're Kudus and Simmons, and imagine if they had Maddison and Kulusevski fit. That would be some team. Yeah. Fair. You know, so I think anyone who's bringing in Simmons, I can definitely see the vision with that one.
The journeyman wonder kid description I love. Drop a comment below with any other journeyman wonder kids because João Felix is a prime example. He was a Barcelona academy Xavi Simmons too, right?
Like, pictures of him like as a 13-year-old with the curly hair and like he was meant to be the next one up. And it didn't really stick at Barca, didn't stick at PSG. Leipzig it kind of did, but you don't really know to what extent you can really give that credit for because it's Bundesliga tax. So we'll have to see. But in that role that Papa Sarr was playing for Spurs, you can see how Xavi Simons slots in there. My thing is just that performance from Spurs against Bournemouth was so odd. They created nothing.
From the XG was something like 0.2 the entire game.
0.19. But their previous games against Burnley and Man City and even PSG, they were so good.
0.19 XG in any home game against any opposition is embarrassing.
Yeah, it's not great at all. So that was just one of those where you go, But I agree, Thomas Frank is a great manager and he's super adaptable. So I still think Spurs will be fine. It's just also another thing is whether they can handle the Champions League, Premier League fixtures back and forth. They haven't done that in a while. These set of players haven't done that in a while. Or some of them haven't done it ever. So we'll have to see how they deal with that.
That's where FPL managers are going to struggle because there's going to be more rotation than ever. We've already seen so many injuries as well in the first few weeks. People are pulling out of hamstrings, going off. Saliba went off at Anfield. There's so many injuries. There's so many games. There's so many international breaks. There's AFCON. There's a World Cup. If you can pick a team that is just going to play football, you're going to finish in a good spot. You're really going to
pick players
get past a lot of people.
Don't pick up injuries or suspensions easily. Like there are players like that, like Bruno, like Mo Salah. These guys are 90-minute men and they just don't pick up they don't miss games. But also, guys, roll your transfers when you can. Like we love to make a luxury transfer, and sure, we sometimes make them. But if you've got a good 11 and you think you can maybe get a slightly better one, you don't have to make a transfer every week. Like roll when you can because it's inevitable these things will happen. Nick, let's go back to your wildcard to end, or the wildcard team I showed, and like how likely are you gonna wildcard, and is this the sort of team you go for? Like, would you go with this sort of structure?
I do like it. The two Palace defenders are quite tempting. Lacroix, he picks up a lot of DEFCON points, doesn't he, Lacroix?
Mate, he's had it in 2 of his 3, but he should have been all 3. Right. Opta added a defensive contribution after FPL closed the window because it was the last game of the game week in game week 3. So if you own Lacroix, you've been robbed of 2 points. He should have had 6 extras this season. He's had 4.
Wait, so because it closed up, you don't get the extra?
Yeah, because Crystal Palace Villa was the final game of the game week, and Opta added the 12th defensive contribution an hour after the game, and by then FPL had wrapped up the game week.
I see. Okay, I am tempted though. I mean, looking at this team right now, which is set up very nicely. So I have Sanchez, I have Dubravka, I have Bruno, I've got Haaland and Joao Pedro, and Reinders, to be fair. Okay. But everyone else I don't have.
Mate, you've got 2 free transfers though. It doesn't sound like you need to wildcard.
Oh, you say that, but I've got Palmer, I've got triple Villa, I've got
more flags than the UN.
Yes, exactly. Oh, Aina, that's another one. I've got Dorgu, who's...
Aina went off injured, right?
Aina went off injured, yeah. So he went off 10 minutes into the game against South Africa injured. So he's not going to be available. The triple up against with Villa is what's killing me right now. I have so many regrets when it comes to that. Do you remember the first week where I made the Constance Cash still haunts me.
That cash transfer was legendary,
It still haunts me. I still can't believe I did it. That impulse transfer. So
I'd be first to go on wildcard.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's end with asking Matisse, because you mentioned Aina there. Yes. We haven't spoken about Ange Postecoglou and how that affects FPL.
Boy.
If you own a Nottingham Forest defender like me, you do have good fixtures in 5 and 6. I've got double Forest defence. I think they've got Burnley and Sunderland in 5 and 6. But after that, we cannot rely on Forest to keep clean sheets.
No. I think that stylistically, that manager in that club is a complete mismatch. Obviously, there's a link with the Greek owner and the manager, and they clearly want to change style desperately, because that's what they're trying to achieve now. Being in a certain position, now kicking on, they'll feel like they need to change style. Nuno, they'll feel like it's capped at a certain point, like say David Moyes at West Ham, but. Boy, that defence and that goalkeeper is not suited to Ange's football whatsoever. So they're going to concede a lot of goals in the short term. And maybe if they make a couple of transfers in January, they're able to kind of make it through. I think someone like Ona Aina could adapt quite well to someone like Ange. Milinkovic, I'm not so sure. So it depends on the player, but it's going to be a drastic change. It's polar opposites, those two managers.
Yeah. Positionally, they're fine. Formation-wise, it's not too much change, but you're going from low block to high press. It's completely different. And we saw the amount of goals.
Having to turn and run back on a really defensive high line.
Do you know what I mean? Nah. And Spurs leaked goals last season.
Yeah.
So
and they actually had good defenders for it, I think.
Yeah.
Spurs. They just still leaked so many goals. Yeah. Because his football is so aggressive.
Yeah.
Nuno was proper into Chris Wood. Rightly so. He was brilliant for him. Again, they've strengthened a lot in the attacking positions this summer. Chris Wood's highly owned in FPL. No guarantee he's going to be a starter for Ange. No. So again, we've got to watch this space even with highly owned, popular attacking players, not just the defensive ones. Yep. Good stuff. Guys, we'll be back again next week. Do drop your comments. Hit the like and subscribe button. Matisse, thank you as always.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Nick, good luck if you do wildcard.
Yes, we'll see.
Percentage chance you do it?
You know what? Because you've advised me not to, I'm 40% not going to.
Okay.
No, sorry, 60% not going to.
Okay. Use those 2 free transfers. That'll be fine. Guys, we'll see you in the next.